The next presentation on the California Drought Water Bank will be the last presentation before we have a 20-minute break. And to present this program, Bob Potter, the Chief Deputy Director of the Department of Water Resources, Steve McCauley, the General Manager, State Water Contractors. Mr. Potter.
Good morning. Thank you. I'll provide some background on California's weather, its plumbing system, and the situation in 1991 when the water bank was created. California enjoys a Mediterranean climate. We get all of our rainfall in the winter. Typically, no rain falls from May through September. California is well plumbed with dams and canals to store and transport water from areas of plenty to areas of need, to carry over water from winter to summer, and to carry over water from wet years to dry years. Ownership of the plumbing system is balkanized. Water districts, cities, counties, the state, and federal governments all own major transportation systems. From 1987 through early 1991, California had experienced severe statewide drought. Almost all water supply systems were in a state of stress. In February of 1991, the Department of Water Resources set out to establish a market-based drought emergency water bank for willing sellers and willing buyers. During the 10 years prior to 91, the California legislature had passed several laws to encourage water marketing, yet little progress had been made. Scholars throughout the West had studied the gridlock and continued to ask the question, why isn't water marketing making a contribution to meeting California's growing water demands? The 1991 Water Bank broke the logjam and changed the face of California water management forever. 13 water agencies spent more than $100 million to purchase 650,000 acre-feet from the bank. These agencies supply water to more than 20 million people and 1 million acres of farmland. Steve McCauley.
I'll provide an overview of the elements that made our program unique and innovative. One that combines market-based government actions with the best of public policy. We introduced a major new form of water service. State government played a role of water broker to help out public agencies whose water systems had frankly run dry. We bought water by paying farmers not to plant a crop in the first place, and we also paid other farmers to use groundwater in lieu of surface water. Our program, as Bob said, put the theory of water marketing to the test, one that had been provided for in law for more than a decade. The innovation here is that we implemented a program. The bank was also unique in an important technical standpoint. Quantifying water available for transfer is uniformly difficult throughout the western states, even in Colorado, which has a lengthy history of long-term transfers. We got people to think through some very important technical concepts, including the interrelationships between surface and groundwater. Early success of the program was critical. Cities and farms needed water commitments now, not in July. At the same time, farmers, potential buyers or potential sellers, were making planting decisions. Without this program's success, we would have seen enormous agricultural losses and significant urban water service disruptions. An unanticipated benefit is that water began to be looked at for the first time as an economic good, in addition to a public resource, and we did more to instill the importance of using this resource as a precious commodity than several years of public education. The miracle of getting the darn thing to work was extraordinary. We had a full range of professionals, some 100 engineers, biologists, irrigation specialists, economists, attorneys, and accountants. It was a 100-hour-a-week effort. We took many people away from their families. The idea was turned into a reality over a few weeks of hard work. We made up the rules as we went along. An important significant element is how we dealt with implementation problems, such as third-party economic and environmental impacts. We advanced the dialogue in both of these areas by funding major research efforts. The first lesson learned on replicability is we could do it again, and we did it in 92 and 1994. The program provided many workable examples for others. Other direct results were the 1992 legislation setting up the Texas Water Bank, land fallowing programs along the Colorado River, and the 1992 Federal Central Valley Project Improvement Act. Parallel programs are being considered for individual river systems in the West, including the Yakima River in Washington and the Truckee and Carson Rivers in Nevada. There's substantial international interest as set forth in our application. This was a unique risk-taking venture by a state government which used market mechanisms rather than the governor's police powers to deal with the water supply crisis. Government acted in a business-like manner, delivering a product that otherwise would not have been met. A final measure of success is that buyers, sellers, urban users, farmers, and environmental leaders alike continue to promote market-based water transfers as an innovative tool to help solve California's water supply problems.
Thank you. Questions from the members of the committee? Mags?
The first year of this program, the award was given to the state of Arizona, looking at water rights and all, and more people have been probably killed in the West over water than anything else. Explain just a little bit more about the dynamic of getting people to do this. It seems to me that that's very critical if you're going to cause someone else, or if it's going to be done in some other state, my state of Texas, for example.
I think part of the dynamic of getting people to do it was leverage. The governor has extraordinary police powers that he can exercise if he declares a drought emergency. No governor in California has ever done that, and yet we were able to remind people that that was a tool we could fall back on. I think another aspect of it was that there was real interest in some of the ag community in basically not operating because they were in drought, and they were interested in the money. Money was what motivated the whole operation.
Yes, Jack?
There are a lot of places in the world where the idea of paying market prices for money could solve big diplomatic problems. Have you heard from any of them?
Yes, I have. I've had dialogue with people in Queensland and Australia, certainly in Poland. There's interest just over the last couple of weeks in possibilities in Southeast Asia. I'm certain what you're talking about certainly is the Middle East, where there's friction between Turkey and Iraq and other countries, Jordan and Israel. And maybe Bob can speak to those contacts as well.
Are there any last questions?
I'm just curious whether you think there's any application in non-drought years.
Yes, there is. One of the future applications that I think will occur, there's a great deal of interest of people that bought during the drought in the concept of actually buying futures, if you will, coming in say, October before the winter months have occurred and buying the right to exercise either a fallowing or a groundwater pumping program in the coming summer in the event that the winter doesn't produce. Lots of dialogue going on in that area, and I expect that that will become a regular mechanism eventually in California water management.
Follow up on that. What is your view of a shift to a long-term marketing approach versus a drought-only, in line with what you just said?
In most years, California's got plenty of water to go around, so I think it will always have a drought focus. On the other hand, if you don't have it standing there and anticipate that you're going to use it when water is short, it won't be as effective as it could be if you had it in your planning tools.
But it might have a regional application.
Mm-hmm.
There are certainly areas where it could be applied regionally. There are areas within the Bureau of Reclamation Service area on the Sacramento River where they pool water and share back and forth.
Yes, Max.
The innovation that you kind of moved into options, what thinking, I mean, you have a year-to-year option at this point. Are you looking at any multi-year, any other creativity with the option format?
The state has not. On the other hand, there are major water districts within California that are taking a look at that kind of idea. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is negotiating standing arrangements with farmers in the Imperial Valley area to fallow on call a certain percentage of years. They're actually drafting contractual arrangement that will allow them to call for water when they're in need. So it's happening at the regional level more than at the state level, I guess I'd say.
Are there any other final questions? Yes, Barbara.
What kind of agricultural products are being, in a sense, taken off the market while fields lie fallow because of the water issue? First I should say that while we fallowed in 1991, there was no fallowing in the subsequent water bank operation in either 1992 or 1994. The advantage of not fallowing is that you buy water a lot cheaper. We bought water in the $30 to $50 an acre foot range when we did not fallow. When we fallowed, we had to pay $125 an acre foot to get water. The crops that went out in 91 when we fallowed tended to be, the corn was the primary crop. We also took a lot of wheat out. There were several areas in the rice industry where they did not fallow, but they substituted groundwater and gave up their surface water supply to the water bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your